Hey Guitar Ninjas, the white pots are out, so it means it's time for another song challenge video. If you saw the last one, I had to do an F sharp minor pentatonic jazz where I had to sing about failing to make a song and I could only use one string per instrument. So it was a bit of a challenge. Let's see what today is going to come up with. So picking a key, a root note, genre, a subject, and a forfeit. Boom. Remember, leave your suggestions for ideas to add to this in the comment section below and I will add them in. Every video I'm using them, I'm throwing them away. Feel free to comment some keys and things that you think might already be picked. So for instance, there was 12 root notes in there. So after this video, there's going to be 2 missing. I've thrown them away. So feel free to throw suggestions, even if they've already come up, because picking at random, it will make new songs. Right, let's have a look. What have we got? We have got D, okay, nice and straightforward. Phrygian, okay. So for those that don't know, the Phrygian is a mode of the major scale. Mode basically means it doesn't sound like the major scale or the minor, it sounds somewhere in the middle. Pretty much, that's the easiest way to explain it quickly. The Phrygian is a bit of a sad sounding track, but it sounds really good with metal music. So I'm hoping the genre is going to fit. Oh, perfect. Rock. Okay, so D Phrygian Rock, that is great. That makes that bit really easy. The actual writing of the song, if there was no other criteria, would be really easy. Next, the subject. A ninja who doesn't like to kill. Cool. Okay, so Phrygian Rock about a ninja that doesn't like to kill. What is my forfeit? Only play the notes. Oh no. I don't know if you can read that. It's probably focusing on my face still. Play the notes out of the scale, aka the anti-scale. So I've got to work out what notes are in the D Phrygian mode or D Phrygian scale, and then find the 5 notes that aren't in there and use those. So that just completely undone the D Phrygian Rock being easy. Before I even start working out the rock drum beats and what I'm going to do, I need to work out what the notes are of the D Phrygian scale, D Phrygian mode, and therefore which notes are outside of it to make my anti-scale as my forfeit decided. Okay, so the notes that I have to play with are E, F sharp, G sharp, B and C sharp. Once again, I've got a bit of an issue here because the rules aren't so clear. So I've got to use the notes that aren't in the D Phrygian, but because they're the notes that aren't in the D Phrygian, it means I can't use a D. So I have to just pick which note I want to make my root note and go from there. So I'm just going to have to play around and see what I think makes the most sense and get back to you on what I did there. I've looked at those 5 notes and I've looked at the intervals between them. So if they're going up a tone or a semitone or more, or a step, half step, if that's how you prefer to think about things, same thing. In doing so, we've got a tone, tone, 3 times semitone, tone, 3 times semitone. So we've got the standard steppings of a pentatonic scale there. Being in rock, having to use the notes that we don't use. If I treat the C sharp as the root, which if you think about it is only 1 semitone away from the D, so it's a pretty good choice to match without cheating, then I get the C sharp minor pentatonic, which to do rock, a ninja who doesn't like to kill, I think we can come up with a really good song with this. So basically it's another minor pentatonic jam like the last video, which is a bit weird that it worked out that way, but I guess the anti-scale, 5 notes instead of 7, there's a good chance you're going to end up with a pentatonic unless you've got some really random intervals in there. Yeah, we've basically got a C sharp minor pentatonic instead of a D Phrygian anti-scale. I guess that's the same thing in some way. Rock song, ninja who doesn't like to kill, and only play the notes out of the scale, which is what we've done. So actually, there's not much forfeit now that we've got the C sharp minor pentatonic. So if I don't write at least a fairly good song, I would be a bit disappointed in myself, because this is kind of a comfort zone of mine. However, I do only have enough time to make this video today before I need to get on and teach all students and do the normal working week starting tomorrow. So let's see how we get on with this. So I wanted to make sure I didn't make the same mistake as last time. So I've written out the notes of the power chords. Because we're in rock, I'm not going to bother with some full chords, I don't think. We're just going to rock out in some standard power chords. So to make sure that the 5th note, the 2nd note of a power chord, was in the key, I've just gone through and wrote down those and realised that I now can't use the G sharp as a power chord in itself because it comes with a D sharp, which is in the D Phrygian mode, so it's not in my anti-scale. So I've got C sharp, E, F sharp and B to play around with, but I really think that those 4 I can create something pretty awesome without even having to think about it too much. So we're going to throw in a C sharp, an E, an F sharp and a G, not a G sharp, a B, and just see how that sounds by itself. I think we can do something with this. So now that I've got chords and a rough feel for what I want, it's time to throw in a standard rock drum beat. Now the great thing about a rock drum beat, loud snare, hard hitting kick, plenty of hi-hat, don't worry about the other cymbals until we're doing a build or going into a chorus, then we can throw in plenty of crash, but right now, just hi-hat, kick and snare, and we'll have a nice punchy rock beat in 4/4, just like a doof, doof, doof. Let's do it. I've thrown in a really standard rock drum beat. We've got some kick, some snare, loads of hi-hat. I decided to throw a crash in just to break it up because the hi-hat sounds a little bit like it is a plug-in, which it is, but the rest doesn't sound too bad. But that hi-hat I thought it needed something, so I've done the crash to break it up, and I took the kick and I moved it slightly off the 3rd just to give it that slight delay, so it's got a little bit more of something to it than just a repetitive sound. So this is my drum beat. Gives me something to work with. Next thing I'm going to do is just play with those power chords that I've got, and there's no other criteria, so I can throw in whatever layers, whatever instruments I want, which is so much nicer than the last video. So we're going to have a whale of time with this. I'm going to go crazy. Definitely got to throw a solo in. I've got the chance to. I mean, I am the guitar ninja after all, not the programming ninja. So yeah, we're going to throw definitely a solo, but it's got to stay in the pentatonic, which means it's actually probably a great thing for beginners to see, apart from the fact I'm going to throw some speed in, because yeah. Right, so now I'm going to play, just hit play, I'm just going to go through those power chords until I find something that I think sounds good over that beat. I was gonna go for standard rock chord progression, like a dum 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 dum, change to dum 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 dum, change dum 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 dum, which is a pretty standard rock thing to do. Play for a bar and change a chord. But I like the idea of making this a bit more riff based, but with power chords. So I'm gonna have a bit more of a play around. I won't leave the camera running for all of this. I'll just put it back on when I think I've got something that you guys will enjoy. The last song wasn't a full song, it was just a nice short section with some vocals and keys. I think because this one fits so much into my comfort zone, I'm just going to throw in a full song. So we're going to try and make this like at least 2.5 minutes long, the actual finished track. So what I've got, I'm really enjoying so far. I've got a nice little riff section, I've then got a chordy section for some vocals, and then I'm going to like do a build, there'll be a bit of a bridge, and we'll do a broken down section for a solo as well. So I've got a good little idea of chunks of sections. So nothing's recording right now, nothing is recording, but let's have a listen to what I've done. All in just the pentatonic notes. So as you can hear, I've got some ideas of a vocal melody going on. I know it doesn't sound great, but that was just because I was trying to throw it in there so I didn't forget. There we go, we have some rough guitar sections. Now obviously I'm going to have to add bass, I'm going to want to pad the drums for different sections so it's not just that beat the whole way through. So there's lots of work to add to this, but I'm already feeling confident, even though I haven't got any words together yet. I don't know what kind of group this sounds like, but it's definitely a familiar style of rock. Right, I'm going to layer these down as just individual sections now with the drum beat in Ableton. Then I'll add some bass, and then I think I'll process the drums from there. Not 100% sure yet, but let's at least get each of these guitar layers sectioned, recorded in, ready to start playing with. Yes, I'm not recording the guitar the whole take, I'm just getting a good take, and then I'm going to copy the verses and choruses. It's pretty standard to do. I don't think it's actually that much of a laziness, but especially when we're on a time pressure of just trying to get this whole thing done, video done and everything in one day. Here's a little production tip for you. I've recorded the guitar, but I've copied myself about 4 or 5 times. I'm going to take the best one and put that on my main track. I'm going to take the second best one and I'm going to throw that on a second track. And then what I'm going to do is pan one track right and one left. And what it does is it just widens the sound. It really gives it some depth. The weird thing about this is, if you took one recording and you did that, you're just splitting the exact sound wider, and it doesn't seem to give a depth. Whereas when you take the 2 different recordings or 2 different sections and put them under and on top of each other and split them, then it just really widens the sound, because you've got the slight differences in the frequencies and how you're hitting the strings and things. So it makes a massive difference to how full the track sounds, even though it's just the same guitar riff, just copied. Okay, so single first, and then I'll add the second track so you can hear the difference. There is now a hook section, a verse section, a chorus section, a backing section for the solo, and now I've just realised that an important thing that I quite often forget to do is just a single ring out note, so that I've got an ending or a stab note, just something to round it off so it doesn't just finish the chorus and cut, or I have to then repeat the chorus and fade. So to give myself that outro, I'm just going to have a go now, a ring and then a stab thing, and then see what feels right when I've got the other layers. So then I can fade that out and that could be the end, or we could go for... There we go. So have we got a ring or I've got a duh-duh-duh-duh? Both seem like they'll be alright endings. So I'm literally just going to use those. I'm then going to have another layer, so I've got my left and right, because I can't just copy a second because I only recorded one. So let's record the other side. See if we can get this right. Hardest bit with this bit can be the timing. Yeah. I think I got it in a single take. Guitar track's done. Right, we're onto the bass now. I'm just gonna have a play around with some root notes again and see what I come up with and layer it on. I don't want to ruin the surprise of the final song, which is why I've not played all the guitar or all the bass, but there'll be a timestamp in the pinned comment, I'm sure, on where the song is, so if you want to go there you can. But if you enjoy this process of me writing, then stick around. All I'm going to be doing is taking the root notes of these to start with. If I come up with something more interesting, then I'll put that onto the camera. In having a play on the bass, what I've realised is actually not just doing root notes, but copying the guitar riff completely is really good in the chorus and the hook. But what I'm going to do in the verse is throw in some pentatonic play. Because that seems to really help. It's like a walking bass riff, even though it's pentatonic. So yeah, I'm going to throw that into the backing of the solo and to the verse. I'm going to copy the guitar on the bass, just instead of full power chords, single notes. And then we should have a pretty cool sounding bass riff straight out the bat. Nice and easy to write. I remembered with the bass to do the ending notes as well, so I've got those in. I've put a rough order of a song together with choruses, verse, the solo-y section, the hook, and the outro ring, although I haven't decided if I'm going to use the ring or the stab still yet. So now I'm going to have a go at adding some vocals, because I've now got what is a strong foundation. Drums, bass, left and right guitar. I still haven't programmed the drums to be anything more interesting than they were at the beginning though. So I'm going to have to think about that in a minute. I don't know if I should do vocals first or drums first. Normally you'd think about the foundation being done of drums first. To take you through any of the theory stuff, the one thing I've thought about is trying to give a bit more extra power, so I might even go slightly higher pitched with the vocals in the chorus, just to make it kind of punch through a little bit more than the rest of the song, because it's all a bit monotone with that C-sharp grounding. I've done no key changes or anything with the rest of the music, so it might make sense for the vocals to go up to the relative major, or perhaps just trying to do a third or fifth harmony sort of thing. I don't actually know at all yet, which makes sense. Just gonna have a play around and see, but I'm gonna do something to try and make that chorus stand out a bit more, and then obviously throwing the lead guitar on is gonna be the last thing. Looked like drums won the battle. I've just gone through and redone? Yes, grammar Nazis, comment below, tell me which one it's meant to be, because I hate did and done. It's the one thing that I've not managed to correct. My grammar used to be terrible as a kid. I've really worked hard on it, but that one I can't get. Anyway, not important. We are now drums in, all the sections thrown together. Time to just throw on some vocals. Now, I've had some ideas, like I said earlier, about going higher or lower, so I'm just gonna have a bit of a play around and see what I think. This has come out a little bit more metal than rock, but it depends on who you are for where you draw that line. For me, metal is when it starts to sound like angry or there's aggressive vocals. The drums in this definitely could work on a metal track, but I feel like the guitar is quite uplifting, so to me this is still rock. But you could argue it, so again, comments below, let me know if you think this fits into rock yourself and where you cross the line. Perhaps give me some suggestions on artists that you think are rock and metal, like where is that line for you? Because it's different for everyone, I'm sure. Running through the park, hiding in the dark, loads of reverb on this I shouldn't have. Wanna control all of the reverb later. Cool, let's try that again. Running through the park, hiding in the dark, sneaking up on you. Drawing out my blade, Japanese handmade. I'm a ninja, but I won't kill. I'm a ninja, that's not my thrill. For those of you that aren't musicians, there's something important to understand. Certain people prefer certain keys on certain instruments. So when it comes to the guitar, a lot of people prefer the key of E or A, but if we then throw something into B, we can probably play it, but we're not going to be as comfortable. Now for me with guitar, I'm pretty flexible. With piano, obviously C major and A minor are my favourites because that's just white notes, it's easy. The others I have to think about a little bit because I don't play piano much, so it's still new to me. Vocally though, I really don't know where my range is. All I know is right now, trying to hit that higher note whilst we're in the C sharp is a little bit of a strain. I think if it was just a little bit lower pitched, it would be easier. So if it was actually in D Phrygian instead of this anti-scale, it might be okay. But yeah, so for me vocally, I might struggle a little bit with this, but I think if I can warm up the vocals right, because it's right at that peak, if I can warm up right that I can hit it, normally when it's right at the peak I can really power through when I get it. So I'm hoping this is going to come out really well, but if I do, it's because I'm straining, and yeah, it's hard to explain. I'm either going to do really well or really bad with these high notes. There's no middle ground, I don't think. Plus, anybody that is a singer will tell you that drinking milky coffee before singing or while you're singing isn't clever, so oh well, coffee wins. I've thrown together some lyrics and I've done that typical thing that I like to do where I take rhyming couplets and things like that, throw them together. Now, there is a certain name for the pattern that I've done, and if you're a poet or into English, I'm sure you'll know the name of it, but I don't. So I've got a rhyming couplet, then a third line, then a rhyming couplet, and then that last line links to the other single line. So you've got rhyming couplet, a line, rhyming couplet, and then a rhyming line with that other single line. Yeah, that pattern anyway. So I've managed to keep that through the verses, and then I've got a really simple catchy chorus where I'm going to go higher at the end of the chorus instead of through the whole thing because it was a strain. So I think I've actually got the whole song's lyrics now. I've got 2 verses, all about a ninja that can't kill or won't kill, and he would rather be a star like Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee, where he doesn't need to kill, he just gets to show off. Just started recording vocals, and then I got a call from the web developer that the Guitar Ninja Academy stuff is now actually live, which is uber exciting, but what it means is I've now been on like a 2-hour phone call wrapping the last bits and bobs up. and the vocals have now cooled down. So I'm going to have to warm up again, and then finally we can start to take the song. I literally got the first line in and it started to cool. So there's basically no lyrics recorded. I cannot speak on camera. So I'm going to start from scratch, just warm up, and then a full take of vocals, then adding the lead guitar, and then the song should be done. Okay, so lead guitar, I thought, let's bring out the snake guitar. We've got to make it nice and rock, right? So got this crazy guitar, had a bit of a play, think I found what I like. I'm also going to try and replicate what the vocals are doing over the last chorus to give it an extra impact towards the end. So we're going to solo, then add things that there, and the lyrics are already recorded, so we are good to go. So I think what I'm going to do now is record and put things in, but for you guys, you're about to go straight in to see the final song. So this is the Ninja Who Doesn't Like to Kill in the D Phrygian anti-scale, which turns out to be the C sharp minor pentatonic rock song. And there you have the final track. So just a refresher on what the rules were. I've got to do a D Phrygian rock song, but remember that the notes that have to be played out of the scale, so it's the anti-scale, as I called it. So that worked out to be the right notes for the C sharp minor pentatonic. And the song had to be about a ninja who doesn't like to kill, which I definitely think I managed to tick all of those boxes. I had great fun. That solo was a single take improv run. I had a few little practice runs to get an idea on what I might want to do, but yeah, that was a single take. Vocals have got some reverb, but I've done nothing for checking the tuning, and I know that singing isn't my strongest point, so I understand if the vocals are a little bit off for you, but I was really happy and really proud. It is getting late into the day now. This has been a pretty long session to try and get this. But I think that's a wicked track. I think with a little bit more work, that could be something really awesome. So I might even revisit this at another time. Hope you guys have really enjoyed this video as much as I have making it. Obviously, I've got loads of editing to do yet, but you would have seen it in the finished product, which is awesome. If you have enjoyed this, or even if you just appreciate the amount of work that goes into it, please give us that thumbs up, leave a comment below, suggestions of other song challenges to try, things to throw in the pot would be awesome. Let me know again if you think the metal or rock balance fits about right, or if you think this was too one way or the other. That would be really cool. And as always, if you enjoyed it, subscribe. Hit that bell to get a notification on when the next one comes out, and I will catch you in a new video soon. Bye!